The Natasha Richardson Award for Best Actress, of course, goes to Dame Maggie Smith.
Despite her seemingly perfect career in acting, on theater and television, Maggie Smith had a rocky relationship with a famous actor, a dramatic slap on stage, and a painful divorce. Her husband's infidelity was almost exposed by the dentist's discovery, which was even more startling. Here we see the shadowy side of Maggie Smith, who captivated audiences around the globe. Margaret Natalie Smith came into this world in Ilford, Essex, on December 28, 1934, and is now known as Dame Maggie Smith. The love story of her parents meeting on a train from Glasgow to London was regaled with Maggie as a youngster, and she was sure that this narrative ignited her imagination and love of storytelling. Maggie and her elder twin brothers, Alistair and Ian, moved to the ancient city of Oxford when she was 4 years old. In Maggie's formative years, schooling was paramount. She was a proud alum of the elite, highly esteemed Oxford High School, which she attended. But Maggie dropped out of school to attend the Oxford Playhouse to study acting when she was 16 years old. In 1952, at the tender age of 17, Maggie Smith made her acting debut at the Oxford Playhouse as Viola in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. Her theatrical career began with this production, which was put on by the Oxford University Dramatic Society. Playing in roles such as Cinderella, Rookery Nook, and the government inspector, she continued to refine her skills at the Oxford Playhouse. Smith crossed the Atlantic to make her Broadway debut in the 1956 revue New Faces of 56. She demonstrated her versatility by performing various roles in the production, marking a huge step forward in her career. She was already a rising figure in the theater industry when she co-starred with Kenneth Williams in the musical comedy Share My Lettuce the following year. People took note of Smith because of her skill and commitment to her work. The Private Ear and The Public Eye, both written by Peter Shaffer, earned her the first of 6 Best Actress Evening Standard Awards, which she would go on to earn in 1962. Legendary actor and director Laurence Olivier saw her in these plays and urged her to join the National Theatre Company at the Old Vic, which he had just created. Despite her complicated connection with Olivier, Smith became a mainstay at the Royal National Theatre in the 60s. Michael Coveney, a theatre critic from Britain, claims that the two actors became bitter rivals. Smith possessed exceptional skill, which Olivier recognized by praising her performance in both comedic and tragic roles. Moreover, he extended an invitation for her to play Desdemona in Othello, a play by Shakespeare. But because they were both famous for their sharp delivery and quick humor, the fact that they shared stage presence created an atmosphere of rivalry. Smith made the shocking confession on Graham Norton's show in 2015, acknowledging that Olivier had struck her in the face during a 1964 Othello performance. The Master Builder, The Recruiting Officer, and Much Ado About Nothing were just a few of the shows where her brilliance and perseverance shone through, and she kept working with him after this tragedy. In tandem with her success on stage, Smith's film career took off. She had her first film part in the 1956 British drama Child in the House. However, she was not given any credits. In 1959, for her debut credited film role in Nowhere to Go, she received her first of 18 nominations for the British Academy Film Award. In 1963, she co-starred with Hollywood A-listers Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor in the British drama The VIPs, further boosting her star power. She is becoming increasingly well-known in the film business, and her nomination for Best Supporting Actress at the Academy Awards is a reflection of that. At this period, Smith's acting chops were on full display in a number of films. She played historical figures in Young Cassidy, 1965, co-starred with Anne Bancroft in 1964's The Pumpkin Eater, and tackled comedy parts in 1962's Go to Blazes. In the 1970s, Maggie Smith's career took off, and she became an indelible star of both the silver screen and the stage. Her performance in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie in 1969 earned her the esteemed Academy Award for Best Actress. The critics were raving about Smith's performance as the strange and divisive educator. One writer hailed it as one of the finest British films of the decade, praising Smith's captivating portrayal of Miss Jean Brodie. Another, Dave Keir of the Chicago Reader, lauded her striking, emotionally distant performance. Smith's abilities extended beyond the realm of cinema. She won a pair of Evening Standard Theatre Awards for Best Actress in 1970 for her performance in the title part in Hedda Gabler, a difficult play by Henrik Ibsen, staged by Ingmar Bergman in London. In 1975, she made her Broadway debut in the Noel Coward play Private Lives, continuing to thrive on stage. The play, directed by the legendary John Gielgud, was well received by critics, who lauded Smith's performance, praising her physicality and comedic timing. Her explosive comedy even garnered praise from the New York Times. Smith's image as a multi-talented and successful actor was further cemented by her Tony Award and Drama Desk Award nominations, thanks to her success on Broadway. She also showcased her comedic skills and ability to connect with a large audience during her guest appearances on The Carol Burnett Show during this period. As Augusta Bertram in George Cukor's 1972 picture, Travels with My Aunt, Maggie Smith displayed her unique charisma. She cemented her image as a gifted and varied performer, with her performance as the unorthodox and adventurous aunt, which earned her a third Best Actress nomination at the Academy Awards. A bittersweet romantic comedy directed by Alan J. Pakula, Love and Pain, 1973, was her subsequent film. Despite the film's lackluster box office performance, critics lauded Smith for her masterful portrayal of a terminally ill lady, complimenting her ability to skillfully combine comedy with tragedy. In 1976, Smith had an appearance in the murder mystery comedy Murder by Death, continuing her stellar career with ensemble casts. Despite critics' wishes for greater screen time, her portrayal of the witty Dora Charleston was well received. Along with Bette Davis and Angela Lansbury, she portrayed the austere Miss Bowers in the 1978 Agatha Christie film Death on the Nile, for her performance as an Oscar-nominated actress in Neil Simon's California Suite. Smith received her second Oscar that year, this one for Best Supporting Actress. With a career filled with the highs and lows of award season under her belt, Smith deserved the victory. She stole the show with her impeccable comic timing and incisive delivery of Simon's clever lines. Despite her success in cinema, Smith maintained her stage presence. She performed legendary parts like as Cleopatra in Antony and Cleopatra and Lady Macbeth in Macbeth during her 1976 to 1980 tenure at the Stratford Shakespeare Festival in Ontario, Canada. Critics praised her performances, which demonstrated her command of both traditional and modern theater. Night and Day, a one-man show by Tom Stoppard, marked Smith's Broadway comeback in 1979. The political turmoil has ensnared Ruth Carson, the spouse of a British official. Critics were unanimous in their admiration of Smith's performance, even if the play was met with mixed reviews. Even though the play was flawed, critic Walter Kerr of the New York Times claimed that she would do an amazing job performing it live. Smith received a second Tony Award nomination for Best Actress in a play for her unwavering commitment to the theater and her talent for bringing even the most difficult material to life. Nominated for 4 BAFTA TV awards, she got her first for 1983's All for Love, in which she played the quirky Mrs. Silly. As 1987's Susan, she proceeded to demonstrate her flexibility on television in an episode of Alan Bennett's critically acclaimed Talking Heads series. She further cemented her reputation as a gifted performer in both mediums with her performance, which won her a second BAFTA TV nomination. The 1981 Merchant Ivory film Quartet, which takes place in Paris in the Roaring Twenties, had Smith as one of an ensemble cast member. Her portrayal of the wacky and elderly Lois Heidler was nominated for Best Actress at the British Academy Film Awards once again. In the fantasy-adventure film Clash of the Titans, she also delved into Greek mythology that year, playing the role of goddess Thetis. In Evil Under the Sun, a 1982 locked-room mystery film, Smith showcased her talent for humorous parts. A sharp-tongued dramatist with a fondness for gossip, her performance brought a bit of comedy to the dramatic tale. It was 1983's Better Late Than Never, co-starring Art Carney and David Niven, in which she subsequently appeared. Particularly fruitful for Smith was the year 1984. A Private Function, a black comedy, was her second BAFTA Film Award for Best Actress. A charming and humorous film chronicling the pig-obsessed inhabitants of a small English town amidst the rationing era. Curiously, 3 pigs, all called Betty, were utilized throughout production. In fact, Smith had to outrun one of them in a particularly tumultuous kitchen scene. In the same year, Smith demonstrated her talent for blending British and American styles with her co-starring role in the Christopher Plummer-starring Hungarian-American film Lillian Love. She received her second Oscar in 1978 for her performance in the comedy California Suite, this time for Best Supporting Actress. She was talented in more than just comedy, though. Dramatic films featuring her include 1987's The Lonely Passion of Judith Hearn, in which she portrayed an alcoholic spinster dealing with unrequited love. She further cemented her status as one of the most gifted actors of her generation with her outstanding performance in this film, which garnered her yet another BAFTA Award for Best Actress. Smith maintained her mesmerizing stage presence in between her film assignments, garnering critical praise for her performances in a number of productions. Virginia, a play on the renowned author's difficult life, was staged in 1981, and for her performance as Wolfe, she received her third Evening Standard Theater Award for Best Actress. Acting as Millamant in the Restoration comedy The Way of the World, recognized for its clever dialogue and multidimensional characters, earned her her fourth Evening Standard Award in 1984. Smith had a starring role in Peter Shaffer's 1987 comedy Lettuce and Lovage, which she performed in a London production. Both critics and audiences loved the play about a flamboyant tour guide who uses exaggeration to make a stately property seem more historical than it actually is. Smith was nominated for an Olivier Award for her performance, solidifying her position as a theatrical legend. In 1990, when the show moved to Broadway, she returned to her role as Lettuce Dufay and went on to win the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Show. She was praised by critics for her performance. The New York Times' Frank Rich gushed over her, saying she captivated the audience and gave the role depth and humor. Smith's 1985 performance as Charlotte Bartlett in the Merchant Ivory version of A Room with a View marked the continuation of her successful cinematic career. This critically acclaimed picture, which was nominated for 8 Oscars, including Best Picture, highlighted Smith's comedic and dramatic talents. She received 2 Golden Globe Awards and 5 nominations for the Academy Awards for her performance. Maggie Smith had a string of successful comedies in the early 1990s. In Steven Spielberg's 1991 smash hit, Hook, a whimsical retelling of the Peter Pan tale, she stood out playing Granny Wendy. Robin Williams starred as an adult Peter Pan, while Dustin Hoffman as the villain Captain Hook, and the picture was a huge financial success, earning $300 million. Smith further cemented her position as a talented and beloved actor with her comedic timing and kindness as Granny Wendy, winning over fans. In her subsequent 2 appearances, Smith's comedic abilities were on full display. She co-starred with Whoopi Goldberg as Mother Superior in the smash comedies Sister Act and Sister Act du Sanu, Back in the Habit, which came out in 1992 and 1993, respectively. She contributed heart and humor to the movie with her portrayal of the strict yet sympathetic nun, demonstrating her talent for giving unexpected characters dimension. Smith continued to dazzle in serious parts even as she dominated comedic roles. She was nominated for a British Academy Television Award in 1992 for her portrayal of Mrs. Mabel Pettigrew in the eerie TV movie Memento Mori, which dealt with the subject of dying seniors. For her terrifying performance as Violet Venable in the 1993 PBS TV movie Suddenly, Last Summer, adapted from the Tennessee Williams play, she was also nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award. However, Smith's abilities extended beyond just performing in films. She made a triumphant return to the theater in 1993, playing the legendary Lady Bracknell in The Importance of Being Earnest, Oscar Wilde's hilarious comedy in London's West End. Her continued popularity as a theatrical performer was validated by her candidacy for another Olivier Award for this performance. In Edward Albee's 3 Tall Women, which he directed the following year, Smith received rave reviews for her performance as a woman fighting dementia. She was commended by critics for her technically outstanding performance and for skillfully portraying the subtleties of memory loss and age. Her performance in this role set a new record for Best Actress at the 5th Evening Standard Theatre Awards, establishing her legacy in the world of theater. After starring as the legendary Professor Minerva McGonagall in the critically acclaimed Harry Potter films, Maggie Smith's career took off in the 2000s. Smith became an international superstar after being introduced to a new audience with this enchanted series based on the novels written by J.K. Rowling. Smith's talent and personality were well suited to the role of the Hogwarts professor, who was both strict and kind. Thanks to her nuanced portrayal, McGonagall became an iconic figure in the wizarding world and a beloved character among fans. Smith and Daniel Radcliffe were reunited for this part because they had starred together in the 1999 film adaptation of David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. Smith's participation in the Harry Potter series, which brought together a number of famous British performers, further solidified her position in cinematic annals. The films captivated fans all over the globe and helped propel the franchise to the top of the box office. During the 2016 promotional tour for The Lady in the Van, Smith reminisced about her time working on the Harry Potter films and her friendship with Alan Rickman, who portrayed the mysterious Professor Severus Snape. "Rickman was a delight to be around," she said, "and a fantastic actor." She went so far as to relate a humorous story about how, when filming, they would sometimes resort to overdone faces of shock or despair since they ran out of different response shots to present. Robert Altman's 2001 murder mystery, Gosford Park, featured Maggie Smith among an ensemble cast. Starring Michael Gambon, Helen Mirren, Kristen Scott Thomas, and a slew of other British acting greats, this fascinating drama took place in a stately English country estate during the 1930s. Smith received her 6th Best Supporting Actress Oscar nomination for her performance as the conceited and ostentatious Countess of Trentham. Many critics praised the picture, with Roger Ebert praising it as an exciting and daring accomplishment. Along with Sandra Bullock and Ellen Burstyn, Smith resumed her run of starring in films with brilliant ensembles in 2002's Divine Secrets of the Ya-Ya Sisterhood. The intricate dynamics between moms and their offspring were the focus of this touching drama adapted from Rebecca Wells' book. In the same year, Smith revived her friendship with fellow Dame Judi Dench for a stage production of The Breath of Life, a play by David Hare. The play was well received by critics and spectators alike, and their connection on stage was explosive. Smith won her first Primetime Emmy in 2003 for her performance in the HBO film My House in Umbria. The British romance writer played by her becomes entangled in a terrorist attack while on vacation in Italy. She received another Golden Globe nomination for her performance, which was moving in equal measure. For the 2004 picture Ladies in Lavender, Smith reunited with Judi Dench, continuing her streak of working with accomplished actresses. Two elderly sisters in a sleepy English country take in a young man with a mystery surrounding him in this touching tale. Dench's bold and daring persona was beautifully complemented by Smith's performance as the quiet and sensible sister. Keeping Mum, a grim comedy from 2005, featured Smith and Rowan Atkinson. This whimsical picture about a priest and his eccentric family was a box office success, with Smith's portrayal as the slightly dotty Grace Hawkins adding to the film's charm. In 2007, she was involved in the British costume drama Becoming Jane, where Anne Hathaway portrayed young Jane Austen, and she played the role of a strict aunt to Hathaway. The Lady from Dubuque, a play by Edward Albee, was revived at the Theatre Royal Haymarket in London's West End in 2007, bringing Maggie Smith back to the stage. Although critics were divided on the show as a whole, Smith's turn as the lead was highly praised. Variety critic David Benedict wrote on her compelling personality, saying that he went on to say that not even her extraordinary talent could save the show as a whole. Smith co-starred with Ruth Wilson in another HBO TV movie that year, Capturing Mary. She continues her impressive run on television with a fourth Primetime Emmy nomination for her role in this enigmatic and ominous drama. Continuing her exploration of varied roles, Smith had occasional appearances in the 2009 fantasy drama and as the eccentric and quirky grandmother, Mrs. Doherty, in the 2010 period, comedy Nanny McPhee and The Big Bang. The part that made her a household name throughout the world, though, was playing Violet Crawley, Dowager Countess of Grantham, in the British historical drama Downton Abbey. From its 2010 to 2015 run, the show became a cultural phenomenon, and Smith became a fan favorite thanks to her biting humor and keen wit. She was honored with 3 Primetime Emmys, a Golden Globe, and 4 Screen Actors Guild Awards for her performance as the Dowager Countess. Despite her success, revealed in 2015 that Downton Abbey's 6th season will be her last, concluding an era for the program and the actress alike. Like any of her cinematic roles, Maggie Smith's personal journey through marriage and love is riveting. In 1952, she first crossed paths with the beautiful dramatist Beverly Cross at the Museum of Art and Archaeology at Oxford University. 6 years down the road, their lives would once again entwine when Smith took center stage in Strip the Willow, Cross's West End production. A passionate love affair ensued, and Cross found himself enamored with his starring lady. Smith was proposed to by Cross, who was still married at the time, a dramatic twist straight out of a Shakespearean play. Unfortunately, fate had other ideas. She had agreed to wait for him to finalize his divorce.